This is a masterpiece of the 15th century, a serene religious scene from the height of the Renaissance. We are told it is a priceless work of art, but look closer. In the background, over Mary's shoulder, there is something that should not be there. A man and his dog are staring up at what is that? A dark, metallic-looking disc. For centuries, art historians have told us it's a symbolic cloud, a gloria, a side of divine presence, a benign angelic object. Today, we reject that answer. We ask the question they are afraid to answer. Why does this angelic object look exactly like a UFO? Is this the greatest secret in history, hidden in plain sight? A visual record of visitors from another world? Tonight, we are not just looking at art, we are launching a visual investigation. From the tombs of the Maya, to the temples of Egypt, to the monasteries of the Middle Ages, we will show you symbols that aren't symbols, and we will prove that our ancestors saw things that our history books have deliberately erased. Prepare yourself. You are about to see the art that history tried to hide.
Our first exhibit takes us from Renaissance Italy to the humid, oppressive jungles of Palenque, Mexico, to the tomb of a legendary Maya ruler, King King Pakal. In 1952, archaeologists descended deep into his pyramid, the Temple of Inscriptions. After years of digging, they found his crypt, and on that crypt was a 5-ton sarcophagus lid. What you're looking at is one of the most controversial objects on Earth. The mainstream explanation? We're told this is a beautiful, complex depiction of Maya cosmology. They say Pakal is falling, descending at the moment of his death down the world tree, the Waka-chan, into the jaws of the underworld. It's a standard interpretation. It fits the narrative. But in the 1960s, author Erich von Däniken looked at this and he saw something else. He said, "This is not a man falling. This is a man rising." Let's rotate the image 90 degrees. Now, look again. This isn't a man falling. This is a man operating. Look at his hands. They're not limp. They are gripping complex controls. Look at his feet. His left foot is on a pedal. Look at his face. His nose is pressed against a breathing apparatus or a telescope. His body is reclined, exactly like the astronauts in the Mercury program, braced for high G forces. And here, what skeptics call the roots of the tree, looks exactly like fire, smoke, and rocket propulsion, a multi-stage rocket engine. It is a perfect depiction of an astronaut in a capsule. The posture, the controls, the propulsion. It's too specific. It's too engineered. Skeptics say, no, that's a Quetzal bird on top, a symbol of the heavens. But in this orientation, the bird looks exactly like the command module of a capsule. So the question is this: why would a 7th century king be buried in a world tree that looks bolt for bolt exactly like a 20th century machine? Is this cosmology, or is it a schematic? A 7th century king in a rocket ship. It sounds impossible, but this is just our first exhibit. What we're about to show you, hidden in the holy cathedrals of medieval Europe, is even more shocking. The evidence only gets clearer. If you are ready to see the truth hidden in plain sight and you want to support this investigation, hit that subscribe button now. You don't want to miss what's coming.
Now, let's travel 8,000 miles and forward 700 years to a 14th century monastery in Kosovo, Visoki Dečani. Above the altar, a familiar scene, one of the most famous in Christendom, the crucifixion. Beautiful, tragic, and entirely normal, until you look up. What is that?
Inside a teardrop-shaped vehicle sits a pilot. He's flying it. His hands are on invisible controls. He's even looking behind him as if in a chase. And on the other side, another one, flying in the opposite direction, its pilot hunched forward. Really? Show me one other painting, ever, where angels fly inside metallic capsules, where they don't have wings, where they are depicted in active flight, leaving contrails. Angels fly with wings. These things are flying in machines. But this isn't an isolated case. Let's move to Florence. The Annunciation with Saint Abydos, painted by Carlo Crivelli in 1486. A beautiful depiction of the angel Gabriel visiting Mary. But look at the sky. That is not the sun. That is not a cloud. That is a perfectly circular, solid-looking disc. And from that disc, a single perfect beam of golden light is shooting down, passing through the wall and striking Mary's head. Art historians say it's divine light, but it looks more like a high-tech targeting laser from a craft. Need one more? Let's go to 1710, The Baptism of Christ by Art de Gelder. Look up. A massive silver flying saucer is hovering in the clouds. It's unmistakable. It is a disc-shaped object shining beams of light down onto Jesus. So we have to ask, why were 14th, 15th, and 18th century masters obsessed with painting flying machines at key moments in biblical history? Were they just being symbolic, or were they trying to tell us who or what was really present at these events?
But if we want the most in-your-face evidence, we must go back, way back, to the temple of Seti I in Abydos, Egypt, over 3,000 years old. Look high up on this massive stone lintel. What you are seeing has baffled Egyptologists for decades, because it's not a bird, it's not a boat, that is a helicopter. It has a main rotor, a fuselage, and a tail rotor. That is a tank, or perhaps a land speeder, and that is a submarine, or a futuristic aircraft. They are unmistakable. Now, the official story is a concept called palimpsest. They claim it's ancient graffiti, that one set of hieroglyphs, the name of Pharaoh Seti I, was carved, then plastered over, and another set, the name of his son Ramesses II, was carved on top. Over 3,000 years, the plaster conveniently fell out, and the two images merged to create these coincidental shapes. A cosmic coincidence. Does that sound reasonable to you? Let's think about that. What are the odds that two sets of symbols, by pure chance, would overlap to create not one, but three distinct, recognizable 20th century military machines, all perfectly aligned, all in one convenient coincidence? That isn't an explanation. That's an excuse. It's an attempt to make the evidence fit the pre-approved safe theory. But what if the theory is wrong? What if the ancient Egyptians, the most advanced builders on the planet, knew exactly what they were carving? What if this wasn't a mistake? It was a technical manual. For our final exhibit, we leave the temples and churches and go to the oldest art gallery in the world, the rock walls of the Kimberley region in Australia. Here, 4,000 years ago, the Aboriginal people painted these. They are called the Wandjina, and they're terrifying. Look at them. Pale white skin, huge, black, empty, emotionless eyes, no mouth, and a halo surrounding their heads. But is it a halo, or is it a helmet? Is this pale skin, or is it a spacesuit?
The Aboriginal people's own oral history is clear. They say the Wandjina were sky spirits. They came down from the Milky Way in the dream time. They brought civilization, laws, and they were not human. They're painted without mouths because, the legends say, they were so powerful they didn't need to speak. They used their minds. They were telepathic. The resemblance is absolute. Thousands of years before Roswell, before alien abductions became a part of pop culture, an ancient isolated culture was painting their portraits on rock walls. And the legends warn that one day the Wandjina will return from the sky. Is this just a terrifying archetype, a primal fear? Or is it a 4,000-year-old eyewitness sketch of a recurring, non-human visitor?
So where does this leave us? From Italy to Mexico to Serbia to Egypt to Australia, the pattern is the same. The evidence is global. We are left with two, and only two, impossible choices. Choice one. All these ancient cultures, separated by thousands of miles, separated by thousands of years, all independently decided to draw the exact same symbolic images of futuristic machines, flying saucers, rockets, helicopters, and non-human beings that they couldn't possibly understand. It is the single greatest, most improbable coincidence in human history. Choice two. They weren't drawing symbols. They weren't drawing metaphors. They were historians. They were journalists. They were drawing exactly what they saw. The truth is not out there in the sky. It's right here, in our museums, in our churches, on our temple walls, collecting dust, a message, an inheritance, a warning, waiting to be seen. The question is no longer, are we alone? The question is, for how long have they been here? The art is endless. We didn't even have time to cover the Tully saucer from 1493, the strange petroglyphs of Utah, or the Japanese Utsurobune legends. Let me know in the comments, what is the single most compelling piece of forbidden art you've ever seen? And should we do a part 2?